Hello and welcome back to a brand new episode of the Couch Potato Podcast. Coming up, a charismatic underachiever enters a dodgeball tournament with his group of ragtag friends in order to win the money needed to save his gym from the maniacal White Goodman, owner of rival Globo Gym. Dodgeball, a true underdog story, coming up next.
You've got to make $50,000 so your gym becomes my gym.
On the edge of sanity.
We could play dodgeball.
You can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball.
On the edge of decency.
That's not good.
On the edge of reason.
You like the rough stuff, huh? Real freaking naughty. Oh, no!
Dodgeball, a true underdog story.
Nobody makes me bleed my own blood. Nobody.
Rated PG-13, June 18th.
All right, joined by producer Adam, and as I said in the intro, we're going to talk a little dodgeball today. This was on the recommendation of Adam. Adam, what was the genesis for recommending dodgeball this week?
We had mentioned that we hadn't done a comedy in a while, and so I was thinking of good comedies to do. And then I also thought, well, you know, it would be really cool to do a comedy that had an important anniversary coming up. So this movie is actually going to be 20 years old this year. So
Yeah.
a very big milestone for it.
Almost
And
old
I was
enough
like,
to drink
yeah.
legally.
Exactly. So I was like, yeah, I haven't seen this in a while. It sounds like a really good time. It's a very good time to do dodgeball.
Right. Been a while since I'd watched it before we sat down and watched it over the last week. When was the first time you checked this one out?
I probably didn't. I don't think I saw this in theaters. I think I saw it when it came out on video. But it was immediately funny to me because I was in high school, so it was probably one of my favorite comedies during that time. And we always quoted it everywhere we went. Like there's definitely a few quotable lines that we'll be talking about later, probably. But yeah, this one was up there with me and my friends.
Mm-hmm. I know when I seen the trailers for it, it kind of put me in mind of like the concept was just a little too dumb for me, and I didn't think it would work. And I remember we used to have a drive-in here in town. Well, actually, within like 20 minutes of us, we had like 3 or 4 operational drive-ins. And I remember seeing iRobot at the drive-in, and they used to run like a double feature where if you paid to see one movie, you could watch the other movie for free. And Dodgeball was the second movie that was playing. And I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm here. I'll check this out, see how this was. And I remember leaving the drive-in like, man, like, Dodgeball was so much better than iRobot.
Yeah.
I'll stand by that comment to this day. Like I've maybe watched iRobot twice. I used to watch Dodgeball like maybe 2 or 3 times a year.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you there. And I don't know what the consensus is, but I'm pretty sure the majority of people would probably agree with us.
Mm.
So
And I remember when we worked for well, this is before you came on at when I worked at Big Blue, they had a actually they used to promote this like upcoming DVD releases in their ads, like, hey, this is going to be coming out Tuesday, stop on in and pick up your copy. They had a promotion, and we ended up dressing up in like sweat attire, and the DVD release actually had a dodgeball headband that came with
nice.
it. And I remember putting the headband on, and then probably within 20 minutes, I started feeling real lightheaded. And it turns out the sweatband was too small for my head, and it started cutting off circulation.
That's great.
Yeah, I remember like they ended up sending me home because I just felt like shit. So I just went and bought Dodgeball and like fucking left, went home and watched it.
The sweatband got you out of work so you could watch the movie.
Yeah, perfect. I wish should have thought of more stuff like that. Like if Knives Out would have been a thing, would have had like a knife with it, and you're like, oh fuck, I sliced my hand open trying to promote Knives Out. I gotta go home. I gotta get this thing looked at.
Maybe a little bit less damaging to your body, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was the era of Jackass. You gotta, you
Don't
had
try
to do
this
what
at
you
home.
could. Yeah, I don't recommend. Yeah, like they should have come with a disclaimer with those headbands. Like, hey, listen, like if you've got a big head, don't put this on. Or if you have a lot of hair, which at the time I suffered from both of those. I used to have a thick, lustrous, just locks of hair, and I had a big head on top of that. So it was just a combination meant for disaster when it come to that. But
The headband couldn't withstand your mane.
yeah, now like I have, now it's nothing. Like the headband eventually won. I actually now will go back and say that headband is the reason why I'm suffering from hair loss as we speak. I'm blaming it.
Damn it, Dodgeball.
I'm not blaming Dodgeball. Well, maybe Patches O'Houlihan. I'll blame him.
Okay, yeah, we can blame him.
All right. But yeah, man, like this is that wheelhouse of the 2000 comedy, like 2000s era comedies that were just like they were just spitting out banger after banger in that era.
Oh yeah, for sure. I was actually talking a little bit about that today. For listeners that don't know my wife's name, I was talking to Jenna today, and I was like, man, there was a lot of comedies that came out. You just don't see those anymore. Like we got Dodgeball, pretty much all the scary movies, American Pies, just lots of different franchises that had just comedy after comedy after comedy. And Hangovers were probably the last gasp of air for that kind of era. I don't think movie studios like to invest in comedies anymore, so we don't see them all that often.
Well, I think a lot of it now is just the fact that they're not viable at the box office. So a lot of the cool concepts that would be comedies are now just going over to like the streaming sites. Like I'm trying to think what that is. That Andy Samberg movie that came out a few years ago during the Palm Springs. It was like that.
Okay, yeah.
I thought that was a fantastic movie. And I mean, I don't think it even had a theatrical run, or if it did, it got a very limited one.
Yeah.
Now, I've noticed that they're trying to make a comeback. I know the Jennifer Lawrence movie that came out over the summer, No Hard Feelings, which I don't know if it was just the mood I was in, wasn't a super big fan of it. But it did fairly well at the box office. I think it made like $70 million somewhere in that neighborhood.
Yeah. I mean, I think just the risk versus reward with the studios is where it's at, because they'll, say, okay, your budget's $50 million, do magic. And then they'll expect superhero movie numbers, and it's just not going to happen. So they just don't want to do it.
Well, I think too is unlike the horror genre, which basically with horror, the concept is what sells the movie. With comedies, you've got to cast somebody that's fairly recognizable, or else like no one's going to go see. Like I'm not going to see somebody that I have no track record of their, like whether they make me laugh or not. Because I mean, I have a very certain style of humor that I gravitate towards. So if like I've never heard of like the star of this movie, I'm not going to go see it. And I would imagine that probably the biggest chunk of No Hard Feelings' budget probably went to paying Jennifer Lawrence. So I don't know if it turned a profit or not. I'm sure if it did, it probably didn't really do enough to warrant a sequel, or like, oh, hey, maybe we should start investing in more of these movies. Now, I have noticed that Glenn Powell, Sydney Sweeney rom-com was Anything or Anyone But You.
Yeah.
It's been it's had some pretty long legs. It came out, I think, right before Christmas, and it's been steadily in the top 5. Now, it's not been doing like astronomical numbers, but I mean, it's starting to creep towards, I think it's going to top out at around 70 or 80 as well. So, I don't know, maybe
that's not too bad. as long as it has legs, I mean, you can consider that a success.
Yeah, but yeah, man, like I think that I think the 2000 to 2009 era was probably like the last great run of comedy, and after that,
Mhm.
you might get a couple of movies here or there that
Yeah.
might, like, I know, like Neighbors, the Zac Efron,
Yeah.
Seth Rogen
Blockers
one.
was pretty good.
Yeah, Blockers. There was Game Night, which we've got to do at
Game Night
some
was good.
point.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. Wasn't This Is the End after
Oh
2010?
yeah, this is the end.
Yeah,
Mhm.
but I mean, you could probably count on both hands the number of like really good comedies after 2010. Whereas 2010, I mean, it was like just fuck. You had
Oh, yeah.
7 or 8 a year. It seemed like came out that were just really, really good.
Now, I have a question for you. What would your idea of good comedy be before you go and see it? Like, do you think uh, like you were saying with Dodgeball, you didn't really think the premise was all that interesting? Do you think the premise is more of a factor in going to see a comedy and knowing if it's going to be successful or not? Or do you think like, oh, that trailer looked really funny, the movie's probably really funny?
Well, I think like the trailer has to sell me. Obviously, like there has to be some laughs in the trailer.
Yeah.
But I think the premise is the biggest selling point. Like, we'll
Mhm.
take The Hangover as an example. Like, I had heard a little bit of Zach Galifianakis, and I remember Bradley Cooper from Wedding Crashers, and Ed Helms was obviously in The Office. So I'm like, okay, this may have the potential to be good if you just read The Hangover, the quick synopsis of it. But then the trailer just
Yeah.
fucking knocked it out of the park. Like, okay, this
Right.
is going to be a good movie. So yeah, I mean, like the trailer and the premise kind of sell me more than who's in it. But I mean, I have to
Yeah.
recognize the people that are in it. Like, I just couldn't go in. Like, I'm trying to think of that comedian Aquafina. She was in the Ocean's
yeah.
8 remake, and she was in Shang-Chi. Now,
Mhm.
I had never heard of her before, the Ocean's 8 movie, but I think she's hysterical. Like,
Oh yeah, she's funny.
if she was given a like, hey, we're going to give you $25 million to make a movie, like, okay, I would be intrigued by that potential. Just like, okay, I want to see what she does with $20 million.
Right. Yeah.
But
Just seeing her in the films that she was in and getting to know the character she plays.
yeah, but prior to
comedy
Ocean's
she
8,
has.
if they put her in a movie,
Yeah.
like, I don't care.
Yeah.
You go, girl, get your money, but like, you're probably not going to get my $10 or whatever.
Yeah.
Well, what about you? Like, what makes a good comedy for you?
I think the trailer is the biggest selling point for me. I know the premise has to be kind of good, but yeah, I'm kind of flip-flopped on that. I think the trailer has to be really good because I have to know that it's funny before I go and see it.
Mhm.
A good example, I guess, because I know who was in it too, Renfield with Nick Cage. I was like, oh, it's a Nick Cage movie. I gotta go see this. But the trailer made it really funny for me. I was like, okay, yeah, the jokes that they're pulling off in this trailer, the dark humor that's in it, and the fact that Nick Cage is in it, I must see this movie. So, really knowing who's in it, kind of sells it. The premise kind of sells it, but the trailer is what knocks it out of the park, I think.
Yeah. You know, that's another one that, like, I don't know if it was just like the particular mood I was in, but I just couldn't get into Renfield. I don't think I even finished it.
Oh man, the ending is the best part.
Well, maybe I'll revisit it down the road.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, like, just this year alone, 2004, there's a couple of like really prominent comedies that come out this year, and I think one of them we'll definitely be doing this year.
Okay.
And it smells of rich mahogany. If that's a hint, to all you guys and gals out there. Well, hey, you ready to knock out some of these categories?
Oh yeah, for sure.
All right. Dodgeball. Is it Dodgeball or is it Dodgeball, a true underdog story? Because it has like the the secondary title with it. I've always called it Dodgeball.
It's Dodgeball. The secondary title is there, but it's just a secondary title.
All right. Well, it's Dodgeball. For those of you that have to have everything perfect, Dodgeball, True Underdog Story was released on June 18th, 2004. This stars Vince Vaughn, Ben Stiller, Christina Taylor, Stephen Root, Justin Long, Alan Tudyk, Gary Cole, Jason Bateman, and Rip Torn. Man, that is a fucking loaded cast.
Oh man, when I was watching it, I forgot half the people that were in it were in it. It was so good.
Yeah, I think this is right before we got the Jason Bateman renaissance. Like, I know he hadn't been really in much. Was this Arrested Development around this time, or had it already been taken off?
I think it might have been going on.
Well, I'm just going to look it up here real quick.
Okay. But yeah, the cast was super stellar. I'd forgotten that there were Hank Azaria was one of the ones until like I watched. I was like, oh yeah, Hank Azaria is in this because I remembered Rip Torn. But then, younger Patches O'Houlihan was Hank Azaria. No, he's one of my favorite actors. Just so funny.
Arrested Development started in November of 2003. So this is probably the beginning of the revival of Jason Bateman's career.
Okay.
So yeah, we got,
and man, he knocks it out of the park in this too.
Oh yeah. We'll be talking about him in a little bit. This was directed by Ross and Marshall Thurber. Rotten Tomatoes score of 71% from critics and 76% from audiences. The consensus from critics was Dodgeball is a proudly profane and splendidly silly. Okay, thanks a lot, Rotten Tomatoes, for cutting the rest of that off. Dodgeball is a worthy spiritual successor to the goofball comedies of the 1980s, which I'd agree with that. It kind of has an 80s vibe to it.
Yeah.
Budget of $20 million. This movie grossed $168 million.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it was a big...
I would say that's a mild success.
Yeah, it's a big hit that summer. Didn't qualify or was nominated for any awards, and you can currently stream this on Hulu and AMC+. AMC Plus making a rare appearance on the old show. And yeah, Hulu.
Yeah.
Been coming through.
Third time in a row, I think. Yeah.
I think so. Yeah. Hulu, early front runner for the Couch Potato Podcast Streamer of the Year.
And also potential sponsor if they so choose.
Disney owns that. They ain't fucking they're not even sniffing this show. So sorry, we'll stick to begging these restaurants to sponsor a category. All right, the Did You Know portion of the show. This is where we give you guys and gals some little fun facts and tidbits on the behind the scenes production. Little dirt, if there's any, or just some little fun tidbits and facts. I guess apparently most Hollywood studios passed on this movie, and it wasn't until Ben Stiller agreed to a salary of under $1 million that Fox agreed to greenlight this picture.
Man, must not have been popular among the execs at studios.
Well, I think it has to do with, it goes back to the premise. I mean, okay, like a Dodgeball movie.
Yeah. Are you sure about this?
Honestly, this is around that time though, where like this might have been like the renaissance for like, hey, we can make a good movie out of any premise. Because I remember reading like they're making a fucking Facebook movie. That movie is going to suck. And it turns out The Social Network is probably one of the best movies of the decade.
Yeah.
So shows you how much I know. I guess adult dodgeball leagues began to spring up across the country around the time of this movie's release. Cast member Gary Cole was even invited to a tournament in Chicago.
I had no idea.
I guess according to the director, Ross and Marshall Thurber, I do apologize if you're listening, Mr. Thurber. In his director's commentary on the DVD, he wrote the roles of Peter LaFleur, White Goodman, and Justin. IMDb's really shit in the bed because Justin Long's character is not named Justin.
Yeah, it is.
Oh, it is?
Yeah, he's Justin in the movie.
Okay, he's probably like, I like Justin Long, but he's probably like my least favorite character amongst
he's my least favorite character.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was more of a Gordon guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
He wrote
I
those.
like Steve the Pirate.
Yeah, Steve the Pirate and Gordon were my dudes. He wrote those roles for Vince Vaughn, Ben Stiller, and Justin Long in mine.
Okay.
And I guess Justin Long specifically because he really enjoyed him in Galaxy Quest.
Really?
Yeah.
He's my least favorite character in that movie, too.
I thought he was pretty good in Galaxy Quest. We should do that movie this year, too, because it's actually celebrating an anniversary.
And it's a really good cult classic. It's one of those ones that falls into the cult classic category.
All right, well, stay tuned, guys and gals. If you're a fan of Galaxy Quest, I have a pretty good feeling it's coming this year.
I feel good about it.
Yeah, I love Galaxy Quest. That was another movie that like, this movie's going to be kind of dumb. And then I watched it. Like, this movie fucking rocks.
It does.
I remember at this time I worked at a video store and there were certain movies that we didn't get a lot of copies of to rent. So if it's something I really liked, I would keep it behind the counter and play it on the TVs. And I would tell people it was a screener copy so I couldn't rent it out to them. I would tell people that like, I can't rent this to you legally or else I could get fined or fired.
Even though you could probably rent it out and it'd be fine.
Yeah.
But
well, I mean, it was a standard rental copy, that we were renting out to everybody. Just, I didn't want to give it up. Like, fuck, I'll watch the Galaxy Quest in here today.
You don't want to watch a movie you hate all day. So it's all right.
I forgot all about this actually, that Ben Stiller and Christina Taylor were married, or they still are married. Actually. They had an 18-month-old baby at home while shooting this movie. I guess Taylor was so exhausted that she dozed off in between takes.
Huh, I would be too.
Yeah.
I remember what it was like when they were that young.
Parenting's hard.
Yeah.
The movie refers to the then fictional ESPN 8 The Ocho as a means to lampoon the channel's multiple outlets. The Ocho is a tongue-in-cheek reference to a nickname formerly used by ESPN, The Deuce, which I do remember when they used to call ESPN2 that.
Yeah.
Which Chris Jericho, the professional wrestler, brought the Ocho back there for a little while last year. He was referring to himself as an 8-time world champion, so he called himself the Ocho.
I know being named after poop.
I found this little tidbit to be very fascinating. According to Rotten Tomatoes, this is one of Helen Mirren's favorite movies.
Oh, okay.
I would have never guessed in a million years that Helen Mirren would be a fan of Dodgeball.
She has good taste in comedies, I guess.
She does. I always like Helen Mirren because she used the phrase tits over tails at the Oscars when she almost fell. I think it was the Oscars where she almost fell, and during her speech said she almost went tits over tails. I was like, oh, you British folk with your charming humor. David Hasselhoff, who also has a cameo in this movie besides Hank Azaria, is a reference. His role as the German team coach is a nod to his mysterious popularity in Germany.
He's super popular singer over there.
Yeah.
Sells a lot of CDs.
For those of you that watch Saturday Night Live, you already know that David Hasselhoff is popular in Germany because that was a running gag that Norm Macdonald always said, like, and Germans love David Hasselhoff.
Love Norm Macdonald. God rest his soul.
He actually has a cameo, like it's a blink or you'll miss it cameo, but he's apparently in the crowd hitting on a woman in the stands. Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't think that it would really like warrant putting it in the notes, but then since it got brought up, might as well just go ahead and bring it up anyways. Yeah, it's just like blink and you'll miss it.
Okay.
Last one I have is Al Kaplan, the actor who plays the tournament referee, was the referee for American Gladiators.
Oh, I did not know that.
Neither did I. I mean, you never really paid attention to the referee in American Gladiators anyways. I didn't even know they had one.
Yeah. I mean, okay, so I have a kind of goofy / serious question. I don't know. I don't think there's any professional dodgeball anywhere, at least that I know of. That's kind of one of the running gags of this movie. But there's no referee that just yells dodgeball to start a dodgeball game, is there?
I don't know. We don't know. There's no point of reference.
Yeah. It's like he kind of does a karate chop, cuts the floor in half, and says dodgeball. Like, okay, that's got to be it, right?
Well, it's because we don't have ESPN 8, the Ocho, that would show us professional dodgeball.
Or the American Dodgeball Association of America.
Right. Yeah. And I don't know if you noticed this. I never paid attention to it until I watched it the other day. But they're in the graphic for ESPN 8, the Ocho, when they were showing all the obscure sports. Did you notice some of the stuff that was playing in those little, like that little video? They had the two that stood out to me is there was a squirrel jet skiing. And then at the end, there were two dudes just beating the shit out of each other with belts. That was it.
I want to see that sport.
Yeah, there was a couple of other ones in there that didn't really make me laugh. But then, like, I turned around, looked at my wife. I said, "Are them dudes beating the shit out of each other with belts?" So I had to rewind it and, like, yep, sure enough, they're just fucking wailing on each other.
I'm gonna have to go back and watch that now.
Oh, you should. But yeah, see, we need something like the Ocho, or what is that, Obscure Sports Quarterly? They need to have their own streaming service where they show us stuff like this. They do.
It's like everybody likes to watch those Japanese game shows because they're so hilarious and very like out of the ordinary. They need to have sports like that here in America.
I want to know what
sports.
I want to know what that sport is called where they're beating the shit out of each other with belts. Because they're just fucking like. I'll see if I can find it. I'll send it to you after we're done. But yeah, I fucking lost it when I seen that. The Martin Scorsese This Is Cinema Award for the best scene of the movie. I mean, honestly, it could have been the fucking Ocho crawl. I mean, that made me laugh harder than anything else in the movie when I watched it the other day. But this was pretty tough. There was a lot to really choose from. Like, I really dug the scene when White goes to Christina Taylor's character's house and then like basically tells her that he got her fired so they could start dating.
Yeah.
That scene was pretty cool because it gives you the "you don't make me bleed my own blood" line.
Bleed my own blood. Yeah, that's one of my lines that I'm contending for the best line, but we'll find that out later.
I do. It makes me laugh because it's so fucking absurd. But I do like the ending, the face off between Peter and White, where they have to. It's the sudden death dodgeball scene, just because of how like weird it is. That's how you decide a tie in dodgeball. And I also noticed for the first time how dirty Patch's scarf is that he gives to Peter. I think it's fucking grimy.
It is, and he puts it on his face.
Yeah, it seriously looked like somebody's skeet rag.
I really like the fact that Patches just goes bye-bye.
Yeah.
And then just fades off.
I think for me though, my favorite scene in the movie is it's Patches' first day as the coach, and of course he says if you could dodge a wrench, you could dodge a ball.
You can dodge a ball.
And then he starts launching the fucking wrenches at Justin Long, and then it leads into that whole fucking training montage where it shows them like having to dodge traffic and all that. That scene still cracks me up.
I knew you were going to pick the montage scene because it was a montage scene.
Well, it's more of the scene before that, but it leads into the montage sequence. Just the whole scene where like it basically ends with him getting like fucking nailed with the wrench.
Yeah, that always cracks me up. I just figured you're a sucker for montages.
I do love a good montage. Not a great one though, because it doesn't have like that inspirational music in it.
Right, but it does have people getting hit by cars, and people getting hit by wrenches, and
that's a fair point.
Yeah.
Well, what do you got?
Well, I think my favorite scene is also the Patches O'Houlihan scene where he begins to be the coach. I really, really like the training video though, just because again, I love Hank Azaria.
How he's you like, say there, sport?
The surefire way to win is get the strong kids on your team. Leave the wimpy kids like this guy out of there, and then they pelt him with the ball.
If you ever played dodgeball in school, that's always how it turned out. Even the gym teacher at my elementary school would divide the teams up like that too. She'd always put like all the really good kids on one side and like the sickly kids on the other. The sickly are like the super, like, let me try to say this in not a mean way. The non-athletic kids would be on the other team. So it would just be pure domination.
There was one point at my school where the teacher would separate the boys and the girls because the girls were afraid of getting hit by a ball thrown by a guy because like it would smack the mat on the side of the wall and just reverberate really loud when a guy would throw it versus like the girls just like, you know, eh.
And it'd probably leave that little indentation there that would slowly like pop back out.
Yeah, exactly. There was one girl that was like really ruthless though, so I kind of felt bad for them when we got separated, guys and girls, because I feel like it was more even when it was just integrated.
I tell you what, though, if Kate were on the other side, like I would not want to get hit with that.
Oh no, not at all.
She had a nice delivery. It looked like she could spin it too, to where like it kind of curved and hit people.
Yeah.
So you're going with the dodgeball training video?
I'm going with the dodgeball training video just because I like Hank Azaria and just I forgot about it after all these years, and after watching it, it's just like, man, that was delightful.
Yeah, I'm totally cool going with that because it like with some of these comedies, especially this era, like they basically do them like the plot is extremely like paper thin, but basically the plot just takes you to get to the next gag. So you don't really give too much about like a shit about like some of the other stuff's going on, but yeah, like the training video is pretty good too.
Yeah,
just because like I think what makes that one so funny is the fact that Hank Azaria has a very thick northern, I don't know if that's like a Boston, New Hampshire, New York style accent. Yeah. And then Rip Torn's Patches O'Houlihan sounds nothing like that. So like, like, he doesn't even try to match the accent.
He doesn't give a shit anymore. He's done. He's done with life. He's done with his accent.
Yeah, I'm totally cool giving it that because that scene does crack you up.
Yeah,
totally cool. Okay, we'll give that to the training montage or the training video.
Yeah,
the 5 rules of dodgeball: dip, duck, dive, dodge, and I forget the other one.
Dodge.
Is it? It's
he
dodge,
says dodge twice.
Yeah, dodge, dip, dodge, dip, duck, dive, and dodge. Yep.
Yeah. And he kind of pauses on that last one because he's counting in his head. He's like, oh shit, I already said dodge. And he's just like, dodge.
So like me. So I had to pause too. And I just watched the fucking thing 2 days ago. The Andy Dufresne Get Busy Living or Get Busy Dying Award for the best or most quotable line of the movie. I'm going to go on record as saying this could be a contender for like one of the toughest ones yet to decide.
Oh man, I thought I had you guessed for what your favorite line is because you say it all the time. But I don't know. Maybe it's not your favorite line.
Well, I think the most quotable line from this movie is probably like it's either if you could dodge a wrench, you could dodge a ball,
Dodge a ball.
or no one makes me bleed my own blood, which I love the nod to The Simpsons on that.
Yeah, I like both of those lines. Those are really funny. I have a couple of honorable mentions though.
I think for me, my favorite line of the whole movie, and it cracks me up every fucking time he delivers it, is when Peter's questioning his coaching tactics, and he goes, "Is that really necessary?" He goes, "Necessary. Is it necessary for me to drink my own urine? No, but I do it anyways because it's sterile. I like the taste." And I don't know if it's the line itself or if you look at Rip Torn. I've always made that gaffe, by the way. I've always called Rip Torn Rip Taylor and Rip Taylor Rip Torn. But Rip Torn also, like, I could almost buy him drinking his own piss.
Yeah,
like
just he's that. I don't know if it was the roles that he played as he got older, but they just seemed more and more crazy. And it's like, is he actually just playing himself?
Well, Rip Torn, he plays the producer on one of my favorite HBO shows of all time, The Larry Sanders Show. He's really good in that. I think he got multiple like Emmy nominations for that role too. But then, like, I know he got busted for DUI, and he got there's a really embarrassing like police video of him. So I think that kind of like that was I think it's pre Dodgeball.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you kind of believe like, okay, like, yeah, I could totally see him drinking his own piss now.
Yeah.
Was that the one you think thought I was going to go with?
No, I was going to say F&A, Cotton, F&A.
That was one that was strongly considered, but I like the drink my piss because it's sterile one a little better. It's not taking anything away from the F&A, Cotton F&A. Like that's not leaving my vernacular anytime soon. I have a Rolodex of certain phrases I use when I get excited or I'm very agreeable to something, and that one's staying in there. It's giddy up and F&A, Cotton.
F&A. I love every line that Jason Bateman says in this movie. It's just like, apparently they had shot their scenes all in one day too. They weren't watching anything. The cameras were just pointed at them and they did their thing.
Mm-hmm.
And just every single line that he says, like when he puts on the blindfold and he's like, Cotton, he's not going to be able to see very well. And like, yeah, we know. But my honorable mention, or I guess my favorite line that always makes me laugh is like, "You're about as useless as a cock flavored lollipop."
Was it a poop flavored lollipop? Wasn't it?
I'm pretty sure it was cock flavored lollipop.
Well, neither one of those sound to have no use at all. But I'm going to IMDb real quick. I swear he says poop. To the judges.
Oh, this was during the training montage.
Okay. He goes, "Oh, holy hell, son, you're about as useful as a cock flavored lollipop." Yeah, I guess you're right. Yeah. I thought it says poop. Yep. Well, that's even better. Patches O'Houlihan, a hilarious character, but one that has not aged well.
Right. No, he really hasn't. There's a couple of lines that I kind of laughed at that I'm ashamed about.
It's just the time. It's just the era. It's just like that's. I mean, it doesn't make it any more acceptable, but it's just like
no.
Society kind of accepted that more during this time. So
yeah.
But yeah, I can't argue with any of them. There's so many great lines. I think you could have drawn anything out of a hat,
Mhm.
and it would have been perfectly fine as a winner. So we're just going to call it a tie.
Yeah. Okay.
The Paul Walker Award, I don't think we can really do since this is a comedy, so it kind of defeats the purpose. So the McLovin, strongest field we've had in quite a long time for this award.
Yeah. There's a lot of people.
Hank Azaria
Mhm.
does a lot with his bit of screen time.
Yep.
But for me, I think it boils down to Rip Torn as Patches O'Houlihan, the older one, or Gary Cole and Jason Bateman as Cotton and Pepper.
You know, I'm gonna go with Cole and Bateman on this one. As funny as Rip Torn is, I don't know, man. No, because now I'm thinking Rip Torn's funnier than, I don't know. I can't.
I think
We
all
should come
three
up
are
with
great.
some kind of, yeah.
I'm going to lean a little bit towards Bateman and Cole simply because they take this fucking gig as dodgeball commentators like they're fucking calling the Super Bowl.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And I love the opening line to the tournament when they're introducing the tournament. And like Gary Cole makes that line, like, where you get a happy ending, you just got to pay a little extra.
Yeah. And then Cole says something about a menage a trois, and he's like, yeah, you got to pay double for that kind of action. Cotton.
Yeah. I'm inclined to give it to them. Gary Cole is never bad at anything. And he had that resurgence where he's kind of like a bit player in these these early 2000, late 2000 era comedies. Because he had this, he was Ricky Bobby's dad in Talladega Nights. He was the villain in Pineapple Express. Which that scene where they throw the joint down and they take off after they see him kill that guy in his apartment, and he picks it up, takes one puff off of it. He goes, "That's Pineapple Express." Like, just deadpan fucking serious. Gets me every time. And then Bateman's just fantastic. I'm glad that he's kind of become this was the point of his career where he becomes relevant again, and now like he's pretty much money when it comes to like a comedic actor. If you want to cast him in something, although fantastic in Ozark.
Oh yeah.
Non-comedy role. So yeah, I'm going to give it to them, but
okay.
Rip Torn, like, amazing as well. I don't think this movie works quite as well without him in it, because when you see Vince Vaughn and Ben Stiller at the top of your marquee, you're expecting Vince Vaughn to bring a lot of the comedy as well, but he kind of plays the straight man.
Yeah.
And he lets everybody else do a little bit of the cooking in it, which is kind of cool. So, but the banter between the two of them is really great, playing the Yoda character. But yeah, I'm going to give it to Cole and Bateman.
Okay. Yeah, I'm good with that. I think that, Rip Torn is hamming it up as well. He's dialing it to 11 just like they are, but you kind of expect that from Rip Torn at this point. I think that Gary Cole and Jason Bateman are a little bit more surprising in their role for this.
This is like trying to be an Academy Award voter, and you're trying to decide who to vote for Best Picture between There Will Be Blood and No Country for Old Men.
Except we're deciding on comedic actors from a movie about dodgeball.
Right. So yeah, like Gary Cole and Jason Bateman would be No Country for Old Men, and then Rip Torn's There Will Be Blood. Both fantastic, and it's really hard to pick a winner when they both win.
They do.
The IMDb Drug Dealer #2 award for the actress you've seen in a movie, but you don't know who they are. I nominated Joel David Moore. He plays Owen. I
Okay.
recognized him in some stuff before, so I had to do a little bit of digging on the IMDb page, and he's in the Avatar movies.
Oh, okay.
And he
All
looks
right.
like, he kind of looks like he's the only Na'vi, like the Avatar, that looks
Mhm.
like you know how like you could take like you could turn yourself into a Simpsons character, and it
Yeah.
looks kind of
Yeah.
like you. Now Sam
Yeah.
Worthington looks nothing like his Na'vi avatar looks nothing like the actual human, but Moore's avatar looks exactly like him if he were a Na'vi.
They just spent a little bit extra time on him for some reason.
Yeah, he's like, oh, you're kind of gangly. I think we can work with this. You got the features. So I'm
Already
nominating
look
him.
like a blue guy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're just gonna paint your face blue. And I guess apparently too, he was in Bones for most of its run,
Okay.
the Fox show. So I'm nominating him because I've never like I know I'd seen him in something. I didn't
Yeah.
know who he was, and I didn't know that was his name. I almost confused him with Ewan Bremer, that Scottish actor.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, they kind of look similar.
But yeah, that's who I nominated.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you there. I couldn't really come up with a better candidate for this. Because I was thinking, there's a lot of recognizable faces in this, especially with the stellar cast I got. But Gordon's character, Gordon, Stephen Root, he's kind of, oh yeah, that guy. He looks familiar.
Well, I think most people know Stephen Root as Stephen Root. I mean, he was in Office Space.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. The can't even man, I shouldn't be allowed on this podcast. I forgot about Office Space.
Yeah. That's a party foul, my friend. That's like that's like dropping the keg and like it explodes.
Man.
It's unusable now.
Office Space is so good. Yeah. So I'm good with giving it to him.
Well, that was the problem with this movie and this award is the fact it's either people that you know or it's like people you don't. Like Owen's buddy.
Yeah.
Like I've never seen him in anything. Maybe Alan Tudyk, but like everyone knows Alan Tudyk. Most people should from Firefly and other things too. So he would have been maybe, but like it's fucking Alan Tudyk. He's in Firefly for crying out loud.
Yeah.
So I couldn't really think of anybody else either, but like I've seen him in something. And then he's a real life Na'vi.
I agree. I think we should give it to him for sure.
So I have to look at his name again. Joel David Moore, congratulations. You are the second winner of the IMDb Drug Dealer #2 award. For the actor or actress, you've seen them some stuff, but you don't know their name. So congratulations. We will send you a $5 Arby's gift card in the mail. Just make sure you email us your address if you listen.
And we can also make Arby's our hot off the skillet take sponsor for this movie.
Well, I'll read it off when we get to we'll try it, see if it works.
Okay.
It would have been a perfect week we'll get into that category in a minute. Unsolved mysteries of the movie. And I was thinking about this today. Like, I really wish Robert Stack were alive because I would pay a cameo fee to get him to read that.
Oh man, that would be great.
And have that music, that creepy Unsolved Mysteries music play in the background. Yeah. When I was a kid, Robert Stack, him reading that phone number, I think I still remember it. I think it was 1-800-876-5353.
Oh man. That's good memory.
So if anyone calls that number, let me know. Our show email is in the description. Let us know if that number still works, because I'm kind of curious myself.
We can call in and give them all these answers to the unsolved mysteries that we solve on the podcast.
Or we could just say, like, we could just research like a case that they had on there, which I'm sure has been solved. And like, hey,
Yeah.
I got a tip on the Green River Killer.
Sorry, sir, that's already been solved. But I have a tip.
The unsolved mysteries, I bet they haven't checked that. They fucking answer machine in like 20 years at least.
Man, could you imagine? It's they have to have the cassette tapes for an answering machine that old, so it's probably full.
I'm willing to bet now if you call that phone number, it's probably, I'm going to guess, like a telemarketing service or it's like a tire place.
Man, that would be disappointing.
It would.
But,
Like, no, I'm here. I got a tip on these fucking aliens that were reported on an Unsolved Mysteries episode from 1989. I seen it on Lifetime. No, I don't. I'm not interested in white walls. I just need to tell you that I seen the aliens.
I got a tip for you. I saw your host decking a whole bunch of hippies inside of an airport.
Yeah. Report it. Tell Bob Stack. All right.
Bob Stack was the one decking the hippies.
Dirty hippies. The only unsolved mystery I had is at the end of the movie, they kind of show you where everybody's at. You know, Peter's with Christina Taylor's character. Average Joe's gym is thriving since he invested his gambling winnings into the gym. Justin Long knocked up the cheerleader that he had the crush on. Everyone's happy, but you never see Gordon in that.
That's true.
So did Gordon kick his wife to the curb? I'm willing to bet that he did.
Right? Yeah. He got the kids. He kicked his wife to the curb, and he probably is living in some mansion somewhere because he got part of those winnings. And
that was
his best life.
That was the only mystery that I couldn't figure out what happened. Like, why isn't he in the final shot?
I mean, he really liked Average Joe's too. You'd think he'd just be there working out.
Yeah.
Something.
And I mean, Gordon practically won a match by himself, so I would have featured him in the commercial too.
Oh yeah. Like, he was the reason they actually made it to the finals.
Yeah. I mean, fucking Steve the Pirate didn't do shit. He's in the ad.
Yeah.
Except
he
cool.
Left. He wasn't even. Yeah. He's like, oh man, I'm not a pirate. I'm going to go be sad during the final. And then he comes back afterwards like, oh yeah, we won. I'm a pirate again.
Well, I just took that trigger word like, gar. Like, who am I going to split all this buried treasure with? He's,
Yeah. And it had to be in a chest because, it's buried treasure.
Of course. But yeah, did you have any questions that went unanswered?
Yes. Why is Steve the Pirate a pirate? What makes him a pirate? And like, all it took was Vince Vaughn telling him you're not a pirate for him to change. I mean, I guess the guys threw the drink at him or the food or whatever it was.
Yeah, I mean, it took, I think, the drink and Peter, that combination, like, okay, like, I'm a fucking grown man. What am I doing here?
Yeah. So why was he a pirate in the first place? That's my unsolved mystery. It's like, what drives a man to be a pirate and hang out at a gym in the middle of the day?
Had Pirates of the Caribbean come out yet?
2004? Yeah, I think so.
All right.
Because we just did our Pirates of the Caribbean podcast, and it celebrated an anniversary of a sort.
Yeah, and you can listen to that episode on Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast too. Cheap plug of the show. Yes, actually, 2003 was the Curse of the Black Pearl.
Okay, so he's just banking on the success of Captain Jack Sparrow. He's probably just trying to get the ladies, right?
I would think, because I do remember that there was after this movie came out and became a big hit, there was a pirate craze where people were starting to act as pirates. I mean, it had a little bit of a run.
Yeah.
So it makes me wonder, or there's some kind of deep rooted like childhood shit he's working through, and the only way he can function as an adult is to become a pirate. And Peter may have accidentally like triggered something to where like he's going to bring up all these repressed memories. I mean, we don't know if Steve the Pirate was locked in a fucking closet for like 13 years. We don't know that.
He could be the next what do they call it? He could be the next Beast from Split.
Yeah.
We just don't know.
He could. I mean, like Peter may have just opened up Pandora's box. And the only way,
the reckoning.
Yeah, like, you know, which they are talking about doing a sequel to this, and maybe that's the point of the sequel. Like Steve the Pirate, they fucked him up when they snapped him out of that pirate thing. Now he's a fucking serial killer roaming through Vegas,
hitting people with dodgeballs.
Yeah, he's leaving a dodgeball at the scene of the crime.
Steve the Pirate struck again.
And it's the premise of it's basically like Peter is partnered with a grizzled like homicide detective, which I'm willing to bet's probably played by Morgan Freeman.
Okay.
Well, no, not Morgan Freeman. Morgan Freeman's already done that. Somebody older, but not quite as old as Morgan Freeman.
We can just make it's Gordon. Gordon decided to become an officer after he left his wife.
Yeah. I kicked that hussy to the curb and I devoted my life to law enforcement. So I'm guessing it's either he's taking advantage of the pirate craze created by Pirates of the Caribbean, or he's using that pirate to hold off all these repressed feelings.
Okay. Yeah. So, there's a character story there that needs to be explored.
Yeah.
I'll bring it up.
10 episode Netflix series, Steve the Pirate, a dodgeball story.
Yeah, if this were Disney, I mean, I guess it is Fox, isn't it?
Yeah.
What? Yeah. So technically, it is Disney now. They're going to do a Disney Plus TV show about Steve the Pirate.
Well, if it's Disney doing it, then it's probably Steve the Pirate is probably like one of those like child fantasy stories where like he's the resurrected spirit of his great uncle who was this swashbuckling pirate back in like, you know, those days, and he's coming back to like right the wrongs so he could like his spirit can like move on to the afterlife or something silly like that.
His uncle is actually Blackbeard, and they're going to weave it into the 60s movie Disney's Blackbeard's Ghost, so that it can become a franchise like Disney likes to do.
I think we're on to something. Disney, you listening? Adam and I are open for business.
We're making Dodgeball a franchise with pirates.
Give us a call or contact us via email, which you can find in the show description. Let's talk. I'll work for the mouse.
Yeah. I mean, I would work for the mouse too. They got lots of incentive in the form of dollars.
I think when I put this show out on Twitter, when I say, hey, new episode available now, I think I'm going to tag Bob Iger in it.
Good idea.
It's like, Bob,
see it.
Listen, I know things are tough at the House of the Mouse right now. Marvel, not as profitable. Might be a dying franchise. Star Wars is a little ways off. Don't have anything new in the pipeline. Pixar kind of been shit in the bed lately. let Adam and I take those old live action 60s movies and just spruce them up a bit. We'll cross pollinate them with some of your Fox titles.
With 20-year-old Dodgeball movies.
We will take the Darby O'Gill movie and cross pollinate it with Leprechaun in the Hood.
I love it.
Blackbeard's Ghost and Dodgeball. What was that Kurt Russell movie where he wore the red shoes?
Oh, the computer that wore tennis shoes.
Yeah. And Terminator 2. Stop Judgment Day. See,
the Ugly Dachshund and Cujo.
All right, let's rein it in, man. This show's gone off the rails. This is what happens when I don't fucking sleep. The most 2004 moment of the movie. I think for me, it's when the video store's calling to let him know that his porno tapes are overdue.
Yeah.
I know this all too well. I used to work at a video store. We never actually rattled off the names of the titles. But to be perfectly honest, there were a couple of times where if it was a customer that I recognized and he was kind of a dick, I would totally do it.
Yeah.
Like Mr. Smith, your copy of 3 poles for 2 holes is like 7 days overdue. Bimbo Nurses 7, 5 days overdue. You need to bring those back. But I think that's the most 2004 moment of the movie because now, like, people don't go to the video store to rent porno. You can just fucking type in Pornhub on your computer, hopefully in incognito mode. You don't have your kids, like, they're trying to type in, like, potpourri, and then, like, all of a sudden, like, next thing you know, like, they've opened up a whole nother world of stuff that they don't need to know about.
Learning some valuable life lessons here on the Couch Potato Podcast.
Yeah. If there's anything that you take from today's episode, search for porno, just use it incognito mode.
See, Disney, we're family friendly.
Yeah, see, we're family friendly. Bob, we're a friendly show. We're looking out for the kids. We're encouraging parents, if you're going to travel down the path less traveled, hide it. Just hidden mode.
Yep.
Keep it away from the kids.
Private.
Incognito. Stealth. Those of you that are using, like, sorted web browsers. The only other thing that I had was I noticed the vitamin water in White's office, and I know vitamin water was, like, really big for, like, a hot minute.
Yeah.
I think then, like, now come to find out it's really no better for you than fucking Pepsi or Coke, but
yeah, it's got a lot of sugar in it.
But I would say probably the video store calling Peter about his overdue porn, simply because, like, video stores are not a thing anymore, and neither is physical porno media.
Yeah.
Did you have anything?
I'm trying to think of one just like off the cuff here because I didn't really have one prepared. Couldn't really think of anything, although yours is excellent. Maybe just the color in Chuck Norris's hair. It's still there. That's the most 2004 moment.
Yeah, I was thinking too for a minute the numerous ESPN networks, because around this time ESPN had ESPN2, they had ESPN News, and they had ESPN Classic. So that was 4 right off the bat. Think that was it, because then, like, I know they added a couple others later on, like they have the SEC network and stuff. But yeah, I think they had 4 at the point of this movie, so that also could have been a thing.
ESPN 8, the Ocho, ESPN 9, and Knuckles.
we're going with Arby's on this one, right?
Yes, Arby's.
Arby's, the hot off the skillet takes for the hottest take regarding this movie. Arby's, we have the meats. Right now, I'm sure you can do the 2 for $7 Arby melts or the beef and cheddar sandwiches. Get 2 of these delectable bad boys. Pair them up with some Mott sticks or some curly fries. Get you a Jamocha milkshake for the ride home. I believe they call that.
Good.
You pair 2 of those. They say that there's a beef and cheddar sandwich for everybody. Some people even get lucky and there's 2 beef and cheddar sandwiches. That's called the jackpot.
I like it.
See where I went there?
Yeah.
Little dodgeball reference in the read.
Yep.
But yeah, Arby's. They've got the meats. Hit them up right now. Listen to this episode, then head over to Arby's. Get your beef and cheddar fix. I didn't really have anything. I mean, I would say, I don't know if this is a hot take, but the more episodes I do of these, the more I find that for me personally, I'm starting to feel that 2000 to 2009, that late 90s, early 2000s run of comedies is probably, I think, the best era for comedy and film.
I think the only competing era would be in the 80s.
Yeah.
I mean, you had a lot of good comedies come out of there. There was a few in the 70s too, but yeah, there wasn't any amazing one. And you know what? I'm going to say this and somebody's going to correct me. I know somebody will correct me, but I don't think there was any super amazing ones in the 90s. I don't think.
Dumb and Dumber.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
Actually, Dumb and Dumber and Ace Ventura.
Can you list me a run of movies in the 90s though? See, there's a few that you can list on maybe like one hand, but maybe not an entire run like the early 2000s to the 2010s. Are we looking it up now just to see?
Yeah, well, you know what? I haven't had much sleep the last couple nights, so like, Office Space, yeah, that was 99.
Yeah,
Tommy Boy, Wayne's World, The Big Lebowski, Groundhog Day, There's Something About Mary. These are shows we fucking done on this show. I can't. Mrs. Doubtfire, My Cousin Vinny, Clerks, The Waterboy, Friday, Kingpin, The Wedding Singer, Happy Gilmore, Austin Powers, and Austin Powers, a gold member.
I think we both need some sleep because that is a knockout list.
That's a murderer's run. That's a good run. And for some reason, they included My Blue Heaven in that list. I think I've only seen that movie once.
Yeah, that doesn't need to be on the list.
As a matter of fact, IMDb's list of best comedies of the 90s, My Blue Heaven's number 1.
You know what? IMDb, you need to go home.
I think we need to read the door. Well, here's the thing too. Oh, this is a public list by a user. They have My Blue Heaven, House Party. House Party's good. I like the original House Party, but it's not one of the top comedies of the 90s.
No. And
then they have Jesus, this guy's got some shit on here. Opportunity Knocks is number 7 on this dude's list. That movie, I love Dana Carvey. That movie fucking sucks. Men at Work, I dig that flick. I'll defend it till the day I die. He's got Dutch at number 12. All right, you go, whoever you are. But I think for me, it's just, I seem to, when I go to look for a comedy, I seem to gravitate towards this era more than I do any other. So I don't know. Maybe it's just those type of movies kind of cater to my specific taste. Whereas like 80s and 90s kind of have a more broader range, I think.
Yeah, there's a lot more. There's a different kind of comedy with those. I feel like and not to be derogatory towards the movies of the early 2000s and 2010s, but like they're stupid comedy in a way.
No,
They're goofy. Just goofy comedy. Not necessarily like screwball goofy, like, you know,
a little
What's Up, Doc,
offensive.
or Rat Race, but yeah, offensive and kind of guttural humor sometimes, and it doesn't take a lot of thinking to get the joke.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's just funny.
Yeah, I'm sure I'll probably catch a little bit of shit for that comment, but I don't know. I like what I like.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree with you. It had a really great run of movies, and like I said, when it comes to my opinion, I think, you know, the 80s had a really good run and probably would rival it. But since we looked up the 90s, you know, they had a pretty good run too. But
yeah, I might have to
right
might have to go on a 90s run here soon.
I think you hit the nail on the head though with the way these movies are. I think they're memorable.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe just for you know, our grouping of generations here, they're more memorable movies to us.
Yeah, I think they're more in pop culture. They're more significant.
Yeah,
because I mean, I honestly, like, I don't know. Now, my brother and I have like the Dumb and Dumber thing where, like, if one of us touches the other one, we've got like cold hands. My brother and I will always go like, Harry, your hands are freezing. But outside of like maybe Lebowski, which is 99, so that's pretty much close to 2000, there's not a lot of those 90s comedies that are really quotable. Whereas like in this era, it's like, I know people still quote tons of these films.
Yeah.
And I mean, it could be it's just like with anything, like the older something gets, I guess the less culturally significant it gets.
Yeah.
Not to say that it's bad. I mean, like,
no, yeah,
like,
culture shifts.
Yeah. So, hey, you know what? Maybe I'll just go on an 80s, 90s, or maybe I'll start fucking saying shit from the 80s movies again.
Yeah, I mean, we could change our minds too. We could go back to the 80s and 90s, watch those, and be like, you know what? We were wrong. But you know what? We'll never admit it on the podcast.
No, I'll never admit it. I'll take it to my grave.
Because this is the hot take section, and it's sponsored by Arby's,
where you can get 2 mouth-watering, savory beef and cheddar sandwiches for only $7.
You might not like the taste, but you know what? It's sterile.
Because it's been cooked to the proper temperature. And it's sterile of any kind of, well, I guess it depends on which Arby's you go to. But that would never happen at Arby's, because Arby's is a top outstanding restaurant. Not only do they give you great tasting food, they also make sure that their food is prepared in the cleanest of environments.
Arby's sauce and horsey sauce is where it's at.
Did you have any hot takes you wanted to?
Yeah. Outside of what you were saying, I think that this is probably top 5 of that era, and there's a lot of movies in that era, so I'm pretty sure that this is definitely a hot take for some people, but it is definitely cracking my top 5 for this era in the comedy genre.
That's trying to think. Yeah, there's so many good ones in here.
Yeah.
Damn, just from apparently the magazine Cosmopolitan has Medea's Family Reunion as a better film than Meet the Parents, Shaun of the Dead, Anchorman, Dodgeball, Step Brothers. I'd just keep going.
Medea You know what? That's another hot take for another time.
Yeah, I'll save it. The Hall of Fame plaque. I'm going to read off some actors or the directors or people involved in the movie. And if they were inducted into the Movie Hall of Fame, would this movie be the movie that's featured on their Hall of Fame plaque? So Vince Vaughn. I'm going to say no.
No, not this one.
I think it's got to be Wedding Crashers or Swingers.
Yeah.
It'd be one of those two. But I would probably
Yeah.
lean towards Wedding Crashers because I think that was the highest grossing R-rated comedy of all time until The Hangover or The Hangover 2.
Oh, wow. That's a good record to have.
Ben Stiller.
No.
Yeah, I would say Meet the Parents or Zoolander.
Mm-hmm.
I think Zoolander's probably more of an iconic character, but I'd say Meet the Parents is probably his biggest hit. So,
yeah.
I kind of decided to go a little some of the supporting players in this.
Okay.
Christina Taylor. Now, I only say this because she also played Marcia in the Brady Bunch movie, which for a while there, they were pumping out the old TV show remakes as movies, and the Brady Bunch was actually one of the better ones that they did.
You know, I think that as good as Dodgeball is, the Brady Bunch is more iconic. I don't know if it did as well though. So it's a really hard call. So probably yes for her for Dodgeball.
Stephen Root.
No.
Yeah, it's got to be Milton from Office Space.
Yep. That apparently I forgot.
Yeah. And the last one I got is Justin Long.
No.
See, yeah, I don't think so for him either, but I also don't know what it would be.
Let's see. Justin Long movies. I know he was in Die Hard. Probably not that.
He was in that movie Waiting about the restaurant.
Yeah. Jeepers Creepers. Looks like he was in Tusk.
He was in Drag Me to Hell.
Yeah, and he was also in Galaxy Quest, as we mentioned before.
I'm just going to Google him real quick.
Okay.
And then see what comes up for them that.
Yeah, I think that he was in movie 43, but nobody likes that movie except for a few people that I know and me, because it's a guilty pleasure of mine.
I did not know this. He's married to Kate Bosworth.
Oh, I didn't know that either.
Yeah, they don't really have a particular movie that he's known for. They rattled off Galaxy Quest, Jeepers Creepers, Dodgeball, Live Free or Die Hard.
I would say Live Free or Die Hard then. I mean, that's the thing that I remember him from the most out of all those movies.
I always remember him from Jeepers Creepers.
Okay, but neither one is Dodgeball. So,
but I think Jeepers Creepers, that movie I'll remember more because of the shit that happened with the director more than the actual movie itself. And that I kind of wanted that dude's truck. Like I really just would like that would be the perfect truck. Like, hey, don't fucking tailgate me, pal.
Yeah.
Look what I'm rolling in. You need me to blast the horn? Horn's scary as fuck. But
yeah.
So yeah, I would say one of those two.
Yeah.
Or maybe Justin Long doesn't have that Hall of Fame career yet. I mean, he's been steady, but nothing of note that would put him in the Hall of Fame. So I think that's actually the more appropriate answer.
Yeah. He was in that 70s show, The Breakup, Idiocracy, like all nice things, good roles, but just you don't remember him in this thing. So
Right.
he's not a Hall of Fame character.
Great role player, but he's not going to be cracked the starting lineup on a team.
Yeah.
Last category before we wrap this up, the burning question segment. Best dodgeball team name in the tournament.
Um.
And do you need me to rattle off the names of the?
Yeah,
teams?
remind me real quick what the names of the teams are.
I had it. Let me get.
Because there were some really good ones that like I laughed at that weren't average Joes or were they the Purple Cobras?
Yeah, I remember
they had the
there
best
was
entrance. Lobo Gym had the best entrance.
Oh, for sure. I know they had the Skills That Kills.
Mm-hmm.
They had the Lumberjacks. They had the LAPD, or not the LAPD, the Las Vegas Police Department. They had the Lumberjacks. Let's see. I'm just rattling those off memory.
Yeah.
I had it and then they didn't say it here. Okay. There was of the 32 teams in the Las Vegas tournament, 16 were identified by name or shown in the competition. They are the Average Joe's Gym, the Globo Gym Purple Cobras, the Flying Cougars, that was the high school team, Team Blitzkrieg, the Kamikazes, Skills That Kills, the Las Vegas Police Department, the Lumberjacks, the MILFs, Moose Knuckles, Clown Punchers, the Mulchers, the She Mullets, the Wedgies, and then Yetis and Pouncers.
So Moose Knucklers and the New Orleans Clown Punchers are probably going to be the top contenders of this.
I'm giving it to the She Mullets because I remember their logo was a mullet.
You know what? We'll give it to the She Mullets. That's a good one too.
Worst Ben Stiller body shaming character, White Goodman or Tony Perkis from Heavyweights?
Oh, Heavyweights, no doubt.
Yeah, I was going to say Heavyweights too because he's fucking with kids.
Yeah. And I mean, he body shames in this, but that's not his only douchebag tactic. In Heavyweights, that's pretty much all he does.
Yeah. Is White Goodman a top tier comedy movie villain?
You know what? I'm going to say yes.
Let's see. That's tough for me because I think the two greatest comedy movie villains of all time are Judge Smales from Caddyshack and Shooter McGavin from Happy Gilmore.
Those are really good ones. Now, if we're talking top 5, though, I still think that he makes it.
There's Derek from Step Brothers.
Mm-hmm.
It's Adam Scott's character. I don't know. I'm going to say no, simply because I know there's probably guys I can't think of off the top of my head.
Okay.
And actually, I'm going to look that up real quick.
While you're looking that up, I've noticed this after I watched this movie. How many roles has Ben Stiller played a douchebag? Because I feel like he plays a douchebag really, really well. Like he does it a lot in some, like in this.
There's Heavyweights.
Heavyweight.
He's the shitty intern in Happy Gilmore.
Yeah.
He's kind of a douchebag in Tropic Thunder. Oh, he's definitely a douchebag in Zoolander.
Yeah.
Not like the mean-spirited douchebag, but he's kind of a douchebag in that.
Yeah. And for all those 90s sitcoms fans, he cameoed on Friends, and he was a douchebag in that too.
Oh, yeah, that's right. He was on that show. Even though I've never watched Friends. Oh, yeah, I can't put him in the top 5. Dr. Evil.
Oh, yeah. Man.
Bill Lumberg.
He's got to be number 1.
Bill Lumberg from Office Space. Ernie McCracken. Hedley Lamar in Blazing Saddles.
Oh, yeah.
Beetlejuice. Yeah, I can't put him in the top 5.
Okay. It has been written, so it shall be done.
Last one. You kind of already answered this one, but Dodgeball, amongst the great comedies of the 2000s. Would it be in
I'm
your
going to
top
say
5?
yes. Yep. That's my hot take, and I'm going to stick with it.
I'm going to say no. I can't put it above Anchorman. I can't put it above. I can't put it above The Hangover. I don't think I could put it above The 40-Year-Old Virgin. I can't put it above Step Brothers. And I can't put it above Tropic Thunder.
I can put it above a few of those.
Really?
But it still cracks the top 5. Yeah.
All right. Agree to disagree.
Okay.
But, well, like, the thing of it is, man, there's so many great ones.
There is. Which is why it was my hot take.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's going to wrap it up for this week's episode. If you would like, please follow us on social media. You can find us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Threads, TikTok. All those links are in the show description below. If you want to comment on this week's episode or anything you've heard, shoot us an email, also in the show notes. If you like what you heard here today, be sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on a single episode, which we do drop weekly. And please consider taking a brief moment to leave us a review on Apple. If that's the format that you listen to us on, we'd greatly appreciate it. So until next week, we will talk to you guys and gals later.
Finay.